Come check this.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the MXGP of Australia, presented by Sitzler, the final round of 2025. So far this weekend, MX Women WMX has been decided. MXGP has been decided. Coming up next, MX2 Race 2, who will be crowned world champion. Heading into this weekend, Simon Langenfelder held a 16-point advantage. It was down to 13 after qualifying as Kaida Wolf, the pursuer, gained ground on the German. And after race 1, we are now down to just 10 points. The World Championship is on the line. Paul Malin, and alongside me, Ben Townley, the first ever World Champion 2004. BT, that first race, we'll see the highlights of race 1 in a moment, but we kind of get the feeling this one isn't done yet. It is going to go down to the wire. Maybe a little bit unfinished business, whether you're Simon Langenfelder or Kaida Wolf. Who's got the most to lose?
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, they've both got something to lose. There's a World Championship on the line, but going into this Moto, you know, 10-point advantage. Simon's got more to lose than Kai, but I think we're set to see one of the most thrilling finishes to a World Championship that's probably I've ever witnessed.
Well, the brand new racetrack here at the Hidden Valley Motorsports Complex in Darwin, Northern Territory, right in the top of Northern Australia. Look at that blanket of cloud looming large. It looks almost apocalyptic out there, and if we get the rain and everything that has been forecast, well, it will completely change the complexity of the racetrack and how the riders go about this race, because what we haven't had is a wet racetrack for these guys to deal with, and that could be a real spanner in the works, BT.
Oh, massively, you know, and a spanner at the works at this critical juncture, you know, final Moto of the year, and all to play for. If that then is added on top of, you know, what we've seen in Moto 1, it's going to be fireworks, isn't it?
Well, yesterday they were trying to find shade and hide under umbrellas. They're going to need umbrellas of a different kind here, just to shelter themselves from the rain and anything that's about to come through. But if you weren't with us earlier, here's what happened in MX2 Race 1. Over on the right-hand side, number 1, Kaida Wolf, got a good jump, but as Sacha Coenen just tipped into the inside, he was nudged by his teammate Langenfelder, who crossed the foxhole shot line at the top of the hill in what is a unique place for the foxhole shot here in MXGP. And the top 2 in the championship were first and second, but it was De Wolf who's shown his card and his intentions very early on. This is down the first downhill. Tried to get across and play. Langenfelder read it well, tried to give it back. They both lost ground on Ferez, who took over the lead. And right there in that moment, we knew we had a game on, didn't we, BT?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it was interesting. Simon really, he really responded to it, you know, and as you can see here, he raced hard for the lead, but Kai put himself back in the fight, you know, after, what was that, a 3-second advantage that Simon had at one point?
Yeah, this was lap 6, and De Wolf getting up the inside of Ferez, and then we had this moment, Sacha Coenen and Ferez rear wheel clipped the front end, left Sacha Coenen upside down. He didn't finish the race. Well, he did. He came in for goggle change, didn't he? Threw the goggles in. This was the main talking point, though. De Wolf caught Langenfelder and parked him on the side of the track, right in front of the main fans. And with that, Kaida Wolf went on to take his 12th race win of the year. Langenfelder finished in second, Ferez third, Valan fourth, and Everts was fifth. And that's why we're down to 10 points heading into race 2. And everything still to play for. Kaida Wolf, after the race, called it a love tap, nothing more.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he meant business. She showed him the business, and I think I wouldn't have expected anything less, you know, in terms of, you know, how this championship shaped up and what's at play.
Well, let's go down to Lisa Leyland. She caught up with Simon Langenfelder, who leads by 10 points, and Rasmus Jorgensen, team manager for Nastana Spana.
So we're almost ready for the penultimate race of the day, MX2 Race 2, and we will have an MX2 world champion after this race, but who will it be? First off, I want to speak to Nastana Spana factory MX2 team manager Rasmus Jorgensen. Rasmus, tense times between you and the Red Bull KTM team. Very close racing in that first race. Kai described it as a little love tap with Simon. How is it from your seat? I mean, he really wants this, doesn't he?
No, obviously they both want it. I think they both deserve it. It's coming down to the last round, and it's there's a lot of things on the line, you know. So It's going to be close, and we need to let the boys race, and that's what they did. And got one more to go. Let's see how it pans out. I'm obviously realistic that it's 10 points to close in one race is not going to be easy, but this is motocross and anything can happen. So I keep my fingers crossed, everything what I have, and yeah, let's see in 40 minutes time or so.
Rasmus, just tell us, what advice have you given Kai ahead of this weekend and also ahead of this final race?
Well, in the end of the day, he doesn't have anything to lose. He's the hunter. He came from 70 points down after the UK, where we basically thought, yeah, now the chances of winning the title again this year was more or less gone. So slowly creeping in on that and being in this position, you know, he got to approach it that he has nothing to lose. And that's basically what we're telling him, and trying to load himself up mentally to go out and give him everything what he has last race of the season, and let's end it on a high and see what happens.
Good luck to the team. Thank you. Okay, now let's grab a few words with Red Bull KTM Factory MX2 rider Simon Langenfelder, current points leader. Simon, firstly, let's talk about that first race. Some close racing, some tense times. It's crunch time, isn't it? How was it from your seat, that first one?
Yeah, it was good. Had the old shot, had a good speed. Then unfortunately came together with Kai. But yeah, I think speed, everything is there. We just need to make it happen.
Okay. How are the nerves ahead of this final race of the day? And also, did you sleep much last night? I'm guessing there's a lot going on in your mind right now.
I slept good and I'm ready to show them who's boss.
You're not nervous?
No.
Okay, we'll enjoy this final race. Simon Langenfelder there, looking very confident indeed. Good luck to him and all the guys here on the grid. It's time for MX2 Race 2.
So here we are then, the final round of 2025, the MXGP of Australia, presented by Sitzler here, Darwin, Northern Territory, at the Hidden Valley Motorsports Complex. And what a journey it's been in all three of our World Championships, in WMX, MXGP, and now MX2, all being decided here at the final round. Of course, women was decided in the final race of the season, and we're going to get the same in MX2 as well. MXGP already been decided. A couple of weeks from now, we head across the Atlantic to the Monster Energy FIA Motocross of Nations, Crawfordsville, Indiana, for the Motocross of Nations massive event. Ben Townley, you've ridden a few of those, haven't you?
Yeah, mate. Oh, it's the best event on the calendar, and I would go so far to say motorsport. You know, it's just an immense the way that the spectators get involved, and the nations. You know, it's the only one that we do annually that you race for your nation. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, unfortunately no New Zealand this year, but I'm sure there'll be a few there still partying and living the Kiwi spirit dream.
No doubt about that, mate. The Kiwis love attending that event, and just, you know, just in general, it's just such a buzz, you know, the atmosphere that it brings.
Well, Kai de Wolf goes to the line on pole, having won the qualifying race. So this is the final race of the season. Kai de Wolf had the inside gate last time around. Will he go there again? You would imagine so. Sacha Coenen, how bent and buckled is he after his get-off in race one? He goes to the line in second. And then Simon Langenfelder, who was fourth in the qualifying race, he went pretty much to gate 4 that was available to him. And Ferez was pretty much splitting them all up. But Sacha Coenen picked himself up after that crash, came back into pit lane, just checked the goggles, went back out, salvaged a few points, came home in 13th place. This guy is made of rubber. And it's impressive, like some of the crashes that he has that he gets up from. A lot of people wouldn't.
Oh, that was just incredible. He absolutely folded himself in that crash earlier, and was able to just bounce straight back up. I thought for sure he was pulling out of the race when he came into pit lane, but right, no, he was just saving budget on goggles, wasn't he? Right,
Simon Langenfelder, Kai de Wolf separated by 10 points. If Kai de Wolf wins and Langenfelder finishes 6th, they tie on points. Kai de Wolf is world champion on race wins. He already has 12 race wins to Langenfelder's 10. Langenfelder can't afford to hang around, can't afford any problems. We know there's probably going to be unfinished business. Somebody mentioned to me as the Fly Racing 15-second board goes up, somebody mentioned to me in the break that the Ducati team weren't happy with the move that de Wolf put on Langenfelder. And then somebody at the same time said, well, but do you remember what happened in Turkey last year? So I don't know if that's a bit of tit for tat, but all of that is history. This is where it counts, the final race of the season. Gates drop now, good jump there from de Wolf. But once again, Sacha Coenen and Simon Langenfelder side by side, and it's going to be Coenen who will get over the foxhole shot line at the top of the hill. 17 now for the young Belgian. Langenfelder again in second. Looks like we've got a couple of Husqvarnas in there. De Wolf to the inside of his teammate Everts as they drop downhill. Oh, can't afford to fold the front end there. Again, pushing too hard, maybe, to try and make something happen at the bottom of that hill on the German. But another explosive start between the top two in the championship, who are sitting, what, second and third on this early lap, on this opening lap. A little bit of deja vu to what we had last time around. The only difference is Perez is parked in sixth, not leading the way.
Yeah, and I think so. Probably one of the biggest factors in this is the guy leading the race right now. So, you know, we've got someone who's probably going to have a lot more to say in this moto, you know, longer down the stretch than Perez did in that first moto, really.
So Sacha Coenen leads away. That is a horrible long downhill rut section, isn't it? Look,
here we go.
Game on. Not quite. Sizing him up, different part of the racetrack. I noticed he went outside in the corner where he had the action.
Oh, look at the rain.
The rain has been coming. The thunder is all around us, and this is going to be a game changer. Oh, he's going to be on the receiving end here if he's not careful. Oh, he parks him, goes down. Right on the opening lap. So Langenfelder now with work to do. Heart in the mouth, right in the view of everybody up there in pit lane. This one is going to be interesting. Rumbles of thunder all around, rain rattling off of our TV commentary position here as Kai de Wolf moves into second position on this opening lap. Again, you leave the door open, you're going to get punished. That's what people will say, but down to Langenfelder now to show his mettle. He is in seventh place. That's not enough because Kai de Wolf in second if Kai de Wolf is to win this championship. But this weather, the conditions, visibility, goggles, all these kind of things, a changing track. There are a million things and different scenarios that are going to come into play in the final race of this season.
Yeah, a lot of factors involved now, but one, you know, Kai himself is going to have to make sure that he puts himself, you know, he looks forward and races to the lead now because, you know, these guys, they are also racing for position as well, right?
Guillaume Perez included up the inside of Everts to move into third. But Kai de Wolf.
So already a 4.5 second lead for Sacha, right? So as a point stand right now.
Here's what happened. Langenfelder could have closed the door here, wasn't aggressive enough, and then when he tried to, de Wolf was right there, slowed everything down, nowhere for Langenfelder to go, rubber on rubber. He came off worse. Here's another angle. Turned left instead of right, de Wolf.
He played exactly how, you know, you would have expected to be played. He had the opportunity, and he needs, you know, he needs to put at least, what, 5 positions between himself and Langenfelder.
Wow, that is torrential.
This is going to have a huge implications on goggles right now. You know,
yeah.
Like we're only 4 minutes into this race, and with that amount of, you know, rain, did Verlaine go wide there?
I'm just trying to think here if we've ever had a scenario where if potentially, because we can hear and see the storm right outside of our window, how heavy it is with that torrential rain and a thunderstorm, if there is any lightning attached in there, if there are implications of that. Not heard anything at the moment, but this here in the final race of the year, talk about throwing another massive spanner into the works. But Langenfelder here trying to get around the outside of Everts, who squeezed him to the inside through turn 2, up onto the top of the hill. Coenen, de Wolf, Perez, Adamo, Everts, Langenfelder in 6th place at the moment. The gap is just 3 points at the top. Langenfelder on 9.28, de Wolf on 9.25. It's enough, but with the conditions that we've got, the weather, the challenges of the circuit, and all the things we mentioned a moment ago, you can't afford to sit there thinking, I am in a championship position, because if de Wolf takes over the lead and Langenfelder stays there, it ends in a tie. De Wolf gets it on race wins.
Yeah, well, Kai's, you know, only move right now is to charge to the front, you know, so that's still a 4.8 second lead that Sacha's got over him. He's got to put himself into that lead now.
The liquid moly jump up there, the face of that jump, very, very icy and slick and greasy. Everybody's going to be riding on tent hooks. A lot of riders, well, some riders prefer muddy conditions. Some don't like it. They don't like that interchangeable. They like one or the other. And when you've got a situation like this where all of a sudden, Simon Langenfelder doesn't mind riding in the mud, let's say. Kai de Wolf, does he like riding in the mud? You know him pretty well.
Just something to comment on. I haven't seen a single rider out there with roll-offs on, and like I said, you know, we've still got another 25 minutes plus 2 laps to roll. Well, there's probably the first rider roll-offs right there. Latter, you know, so I'm not sure tear-offs in these conditions are going to get the job done.
And that's surprising because we could all see that cloud coming in. When you came into the booth like 10, 15 minutes before we went live, we could already see that cloud looming large. You would err on the side of caution, wouldn't you?
I told the riders that I saw, I said, look over there and make sure you're prepared for this, because you could see that was very Florida-esque type of conditions coming.
Yeah. The landing on the downside for the finish line jump is getting treacherous. This is still that battle for 5th place, Everts and Langenfelder. As it stands right now, Coenen leads the way, 5 seconds clear. He has to be a perfect wingman for this rider right here. He cannot afford to slacken off, because if De Wolf finds his way by and things stay as they are, as we say, that changes the championship and it turns it on its head in favour.
Oh! That's
Langenfelder
it.
down again.
That's it.
Folds the front at the bottom of the hill. Is that the championship decided? Right there on lap 3. Oh, riders down here as well.
There's Langenfelder.
Langenfelder again. Did he just get parked there? Watch this, he just folds the front, buries his head in the sand, picks himself up, so he was out of that 6th place. And then there was another incident just at the top of the hill.
That puts him down to, I would suggest, somewhere around
11th, 10th, 11th place. And if De Wolf stays there, we'll get a check on the points when they cross the line next time around. And that is going to be a massive swing.
Another moment there.
Oh, he's got to be careful.
He's lost his composure now.
Looking across the side of the track there as well to make sure.
Yeah, he's dropped to 13th now.
Look how, you can see how much water has just fallen on this track in the space of 3 laps. That's the gap between 1st and 2nd. It was about 2.5 seconds a moment ago.
The script is flipped now, right? So now it's all Kai's to lose now, and he's got to have the message from the team, you know, and just bring it home.
And how much of that script being flipped was down to, again, that aggressive riding from Kai de Wolf at the start of the race, where you ruffle a few feathers and then just trying hard to get back, to get into the race, and then pushing too hard at the bottom of the hill, and then you fold the front.
You had to bring other people into the race, you know. We saw in Moto 1 there just wasn't enough, you know, with the points differential and not being enough riders in the race, it just wasn't going to get the job done. So there had to be others involved in terms of positions to get that differential.
Well, the gap down to 1.7 seconds between Sacha Coenen on the Red Bull KTM, teammate to Simon Langenfelder. That's the gap as it stands right now. 4 points. Kai de Wolf leads Simon Langenfelder. If it finishes like that, De Wolf will be a 2-time champion here, #1, coming towards us. That is a lot of work for Langenfelder, who is down in 13th place with 22 minutes plus 2 laps to go. The circuit getting more and more slippery as this rain continues to fall. Watch this here. That could have gone either way.
He'll be aware of that now.
The sun shining down.
He'll be aware of that now, though. You know, like you get that moment there. There's only a few, you know, pieces of the track that are actually that hard, so he'll be well aware of that. Take a breath.
We said it would go down to the final wire. You think with a 16-point advantage, you're okay, but it is not over until it's over. And we saw that in race 1. We've seen it in race 2. This one is going to be a real test of attrition, a real battle of survival. Bikes won't need jet washing off. That's the only positive point of this at the end of this race, because the amount of rain.
I feel for these mechanics and teams as they pack up. You know, this is, you know, well, you guys have dealt with it a lot this year, but certainly to pack up and prepare to go home is, yeah, it's going to be a big undertaking for those guys.
Take a look at the start then, under dry conditions, a couple of laps to go. Sacha Coenen over the Foxhole shot line for the 17th time this year. Langenfelder tucked in behind him. De Wolf, Everts and Ferrez, they were all next. And once again, just like he did in race 1, Langenfelder got the jump on Kai de Wolf, which is exactly what he wanted. But just as we saw in race 1, De Wolf showed his hand early and showed his intentions just to try and slow everything down and scupper the chances. As Ben Townley said a moment ago, just to try and bring more riders into the situation. But 30 minutes plus 2, we get to 15 minutes, that's halfway. Look at the amount of water laying on this racetrack. It's a shame because it's an absolutely beautiful racetrack in this facility here in the Northern Territory. This is a battle for the lead. Sacha Coenen chasing those outside lines. At what point do they become like soup and pull you in because of the amount of soft ground?
I just think now, you know, just for Kai, there needs to be race management coming to this. You know, it's you've got to really make sure that you're accurate, keep the bike on 2 wheels. You know, for the rider he's especially competing against right now with Sacha, you know, you sort of be confident there could be a mistake at some point.
Yeah.
So you just sort of, you know, race conservatively. I would have thought right now, you know, it's really flip the script in that sense.
Yeah.
And especially with goggles as well, right? You've got to conserve bike, but also goggles, because we're still 20 minutes away.
Well, you mentioned the bike, preserving the bike and the you know, the rideability, the
they wouldn't have gone out
longevity.
there prepared for this water.
It started dry, and as you said, some went in roll-offs and some went in terra, so you got filters, electrics, all the rest of it. And yeah, so many unknowns.
Crazy in the background, isn't it? It still looks like a beautiful day over to the west of us.
Yeah. Well, this is a gap between them, 1.2, Sacha Coenen and De Wolf. Langenfelder in 12th place at the moment, about a second and a half behind Kai Karsmakers. As it stands right now, Kai De Wolf 9.25, Langenfelder on 9.22. It's a 3-pointer as we approach the halfway stage. Kai De Wolf taking over the championship leader's position. They can't believe it down there. Sacha Coenen, I wonder if he comes into play all of a sudden and maybe flips it and rides the teammate role for the Red Bull KTM squad. Whether he's had any information on the pit board, I don't know.
It'd be very hard conditions to communicate that, and on top of that,
game plan in front, I mean, in the race.
On top of that, actually executing that in these conditions would be very difficult to apply that, you know. So it's actually, you know, not yet, but it's slowly becoming a race of attrition in some senses here.
Look how much time Kai De Wolf has just lost on this lap.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know if that's him just conserving himself or...
Playing a race strategy right now would be very difficult, you know, like there's a lot more at play than worrying about a race strategy right now.
Well, many people in the break said, you know, be prepared for this to go right the way down to the wire. The final race, there's Everts just over the side of the berm there. That's turn 9 or turn 8 at the top of the hill. Everts was in 4th place. And he's tipped over again, trying to get himself up. But Sacha Coenen, yeah, the gap, just as they came over Liquid Moly, you couldn't. He was about 3 or 4 seconds back. So I wonder if he's got an issue, or this is just race management mode. But he was on 2 wheels, heading towards the Liquid Moly. He's through Sector 3, and Sector 4 is the finish line. So you'll see now, look at the time he lost. In Sector 1, it was the same. He lost 3 seconds in Sector 2.
He's going to come in for goggles.
And 3 seconds in Sector 3. Goggle lane is...
he was at the end of pit lane. He was pointing to goggles.
That doesn't sound right. He sounds like he's got a technical problem there. The way that he's just... Listen to this.
Yeah, it doesn't sound healthy.
Doesn't sound healthy with 17 minutes to go. And look, he's looking behind him. The bike is overheating. More drama here in MX2 Race 2. De Wolf in championship winning position. Langenfelder up to 9th place. When he hits the line in a moment, we'll see how that affects the championship. They're going to be tied on points as it stands right now when they hit the line. You watch, here's Langenfelder now. De Wolf on 9.25. That'll update. Langenfelder will be 9.25 apiece. And De Wolf looks like he may have a problem. He has lost massive time. He's 10.5 seconds behind. Twists and turns in every way, shape or form. Wow, you could not write the script here, Ben Townley.
No, I know. I said that coming into today, you know, just based on what we've seen in the past 2 rounds, and then how...
This was on the start straight. There's no reason to go that wide, but you can see it already overheating, just not picking up.
No, there's no pick up there. It just sounds like it's completely strangled, to be honest with you.
And this, a lap ago, he was about 3 seconds behind Sacha Coenen at this part of the racetrack a lap ago. It's now going out to more than 10 seconds. So this is not race management mode. This is...
Do you wonder if that's water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one of the variables. Look at that. They are tied on points. He looks like he can't go forward. And the only one who can go forward now is Langenfelder, who's up to 9th. He's got Racialist just ahead of him. Everts down to 11th when he made that mistake, by the way. Wow, they can't believe it. Even DeCarli on the side there, Claudio DeCarli. And then the mechanics and... Whoa, what a sensational finale this has been.
I'm speechless right now, to be honest with you, because like this is probably wilder than I imagined. I thought we'd come into today and the likelihood of there being a championship go all the way down to the wire, but not in this fashion, right? On this manner, you know, the water, the storm that's come in. Now we've got a mechanical at play here. There's a whole other, you know, the whole variables that I didn't think we'd have involved.
Langenfelder was 3/10 behind Racheless at the last split. One pass gets him the World Championship lead. That's how tight this is. De Wolf can't advance any further. Look at his lap times. 2:08 for Sacha Coenen, 2:10 last time around. In fact, lap timing hasn't updated yet. Everyone's gone through 6 laps, so we're on lap 7. We're just waiting for that to update.
There's something definitely wrong with Kai's bike there. Just watching the way he's exiting that turn after the finish and pulling up that hill. Certainly got a mechanical issue going. It'll be interesting to see if it goes to the finish line now. That'll be, you know, where...
We're just looking at live timing here, and there's a glitch on our screen, but 14 minutes to go. A lot of discussions going on here with the team, and we will try to make sense of everything that's going on. Langenfelder's still there in that 9th place, apparently, and Kai de Wolf here, he is just on borrowed time, maybe. Just waiting for our timing to update. Obviously, with the adverse weather conditions, I'm surprised we've even still got a broadcast. But look at the amount of water coming across the track here, potentially, down in that bottom valley.
Wow, that's incredible amount of rainfall we've had to watch the rain running across the track like that. Will this ever constitute a red flag, these type of conditions, Paul?
You know what? I don't know. I think we had worse conditions in Portugal earlier this year where one of the reservoirs at the bottom side of the circuit burst its banks and they just carved a whole new reservoir right at the side of the track. We had a 5 or 10 minute delay to make that happen. And so here, though, we're mid-race, but we're after the halfway point because 30 minutes plus 2, we've gone beyond 15 minutes with 13 minutes to go. So there's Racheless, there's Langenfelder. And if they are still in those positions of 8th and 9th, and Langenfelder makes the pass, then, of course, he will be in championship winning position. McClellan has gone down, and that might be another position for Langenfelder because all of a sudden McClellan was in 5th place. Then De Wolf, he can't get through the corner here. Legging his way through the turn. Oh, he can't. Heartbreak for the man. Trying to get out of that pit lane corner. The bike looks like he's trying everything. He's going, full Ryan Hughes moment there, just trying to push the bike going, and it's just not going to happen. Kai de Wolf is going to be out of the race and out of the championship fight. It gets going again. Wow! Racheless goes by, or is that Elzinger? You cannot believe what is happening here at this final round. There's Racheless. Langenfelder will be next. He will see the number 1. That'll bring a smile to his face, no doubt, underneath that aero helmet of his. We need to go back to the De Wolf battle because De Wolf riding around here. Here's Langenfelder. Langenfelder has found his way by. Langenfelder is back in championship lead position. And De Wolf can only watch him sail by down the start straight towards turn 1 without being able to do anything about it. That is the difference between world champion and not being world champion at the moment. And is that Adamo? Adamo's parked as well. He was in 3rd place.
What have we just witnessed here in this what are we talking, 20 minutes right now? Incredible scenes.
Adamo out of 3rd and looks stuck in the mud. De Wolf, his championship dream is over. Langenfelder only needs to finish the race in the points here, and he will be world champion, the first German since Ken Roczen in 2011.
Wow.
They're tied on points at the moment. De Wolf will win it on race wins, so Langenfelder needs another position. Unless he's up into that 8th place, as we said. Well,
no, he's at least
our timing screen. Our timing screen is.
He's cleared both McClellan and De Wolf,
Racheless,
and De Wolf,
and De Wolf as well. Yeah. So Simon Langenfelder just needs to bring it home, and he will be crowned world champion. Honestly, I don't think I've witnessed anything so on the edge of our seat stuff in all of the years.
I knew we were in for an absolute thriller. You just had the feeling, you could sense that was the case, but to what we're witnessing now is just incredible scenes.
Adamo out of the race. Yes, so Simon Langenfelder, here he is. They went into this race 10 points apart. Langenfelder just needs to get over the line just to register his position, I guess. And with De Wolf out of the race, he can't score points. And if he doesn't score points. Of course, he can't gain those 10 points on Simon Langenfelder. Adamo out of the final race of the year, but heartbreak for Kai de Wolf as well, he came so close to a second world title, but for mechanical misfortune, before the halfway stage of this final race of the year, we are looking at a new world champion in MX2.
Right now, look at that, you know, that just showcases it as we see it right now before us.
Every picture tells a story, and we got it right there. The new world champion is going to go by the old outgoing champ out of the race, pushing his bike across the racetrack. He is heartbroken. He shrugs his shoulders. There's nothing he could do. And that is the first mechanical for Kai de Wolf all through this season. That's what it came down to as well.
Just absolutely incredible. You know, heartbreaking for Kai. Obviously, clawed himself all the way back from, what was it, 70 points behind to be in a position to win the World Championship, to then
look at the water at the bottom of the hill,
to then you know, to go out with a mechanical misfortune, and that's motorsport, right?
Watch this here again, personified. Look at that, new world champion, outgoing world champion out of the race. You don't get a more powerful image than that.
No, you don't. When I saw that live, that's exactly, you know, the image that I had in my head. It's just a crazy, astonishing moment.
So 6 or 7 minutes still to run. The clock's just disappeared off the top of our timing screen here at the moment. But look at the amount of water. The only good news is they're all running scoops.
I'm wondering how many riders we've currently got circulating, because it looks like there's obviously some...
We've got a red flag. A red flag determines the outcome of the 2025 FIA Motocross World Championship, kind of. We already saw Kai de Wolf go out, Langenfelder take it, but the red flag brings race 2 to a halt here. And this one is going to be done and dusted. The circuit is in absolute... Yeah, look. Ducati can't believe it at the moment. He still doesn't believe it. They've got a red flag down there. Ducati, Red Bull, Factory Racing, they are going to be world champions with Simon Langenfelder. A crazy end to MX2 2025. De Wolf had it in his hands. Then the weather came. And then it caused a technical problem that forced him out of the race. And Simon Langenfelder will not know this until he crosses the line in just a few moments' time that he is world champion. We can hear the screaming in our headset from down there in pit lane. It's going to come over the line now. He's going to see the red flag. And he knows he's world champion. He celebrates. Simon Langenfelder, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, celebrates his 2025 FIA Motocross World Championship title in the most dramatic of fashions here in Australia. The team can't wait to get down there to him. It had its moments, its highs, its lows. He came in leading. Kai de Wolf took over the lead. Langenfelder looked like he was out of it. De Wolf got a mechanical. He was out of the race. And then Langenfelder, all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, finds himself as world champion 2025. What a moment, what a race, what a crazy end to this world championship season. Ben Townley.
I'm lost for words, mate. You know, you think there's still 8 minutes and 30 seconds to play in this race, and the fact that, you know, it's all over, and what we witnessed in that 25 odd minutes is just incredible. That's just crazy scenes, and you know, what a story, you know, that's just played out before our eyes.
And when you think of MXGP is already decided, they're thankful that that's decided. Well, certainly Roman Febvre's thankful now heading into race 2 because of these conditions. But tears and all kinds of emotions down there. Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, Claudio Ducati, another fantastic season for him. He can't believe it. Look, I think 170 Grand Prix victories that team has had over the years with Cairoli and Prado and everybody that's come through their doors. Simon Langenfelder and Germany, world champions in 2025. The first world champion from Germany since Ken Roczen in 2011. Also in MX2, riding for Suzuki. And he's just won the GP as well with a 2nd and a 5th. Double celebrations for Simon Langenfelder. Kai de Wolf 2nd overall with a 1st, and he was credited actually with a 10th place finish. But on the podium or not, the bigger fish has been fried, and it's absolutely crazy. We'll talk to you in a moment, Ben Townley. We're going to go down to Lisa Leyland, who is with Simon.
I can't believe it.
Simon Langenfelder, what a dramatic end to the season. You're the MX2 world champion, your first title, you did it. How are you feeling?
I still cannot believe it. I was sure it's gone, and then I saw Kai in front of me. I couldn't believe this. I never expected. I said I go with tear off. I can't realize it. It was so far gone in one moment. So thanks God.
Look at some of these moments here. That was at the end of the first lap. Kai down the inside of Langenfelder, put him down. All of a sudden, Kai then was in championship winning position when this happened at the bottom of the hill. Langenfelder still led until that point, and then we had issues with Kai de Wolf's motorcycle. That was a couple of riders getting into each other there at the top of the hill. Langenfelder was one of them, and then this kind of thing here where he drowned the motorcycle. Kai de Wolf limped it home, but then eventually that bike just wouldn't have any more go, and as he came out of this turn at the end of the straight, Racialist went by, Langenfelder went by, and pretty soon after this, de Wolf was out of the race, and with that, and the race continuing for another lap or two, there was no way he could pull back those 10 points. He'd gone from championship contender to world championship, leading the way, and then that there is the image of the race this weekend. Outgoing champ, incoming champ. Then we had the red flag, and that sealed the deal. But what a dramatic Grand Prix we had here in MX2. BT, you still can't believe it, because we were talking a moment ago, and like you have a scenario where the red flag situation changes everything. Let's just give you the update then on Simon Langenfelder. Simon Langenfelder, your 2025 FIM Motocross World Champion in MX2. What a fantastic season he has had. 10 race wins, 7 Grand Prix victories now at the final round. 12 podiums. It wasn't all plain sailing, certainly not at this final round, but somehow he managed to come through, cross the line as world champion 2025. We were just talking, BT, about a scenario where if the red flag had come out a couple of laps earlier, just at that halfway stage, and we'll try and keep going here. We've just had a massive power cut here. My headset's on. I can hear the images. I'm hoping you've not lost the images at home. And I'll just keep going anyway until I'm told no one's listening. All kinds of scenarios here that we never would have envisaged. You get yourself a situation where all of a sudden, Kai de Wolf leading the championship, looking like he's home and dry despite the wet conditions. And then the bike heads south. Can't get it over the line. Langenfelder picks himself up. And the red flag situation, had that have happened 2 laps earlier, would we seen a different outcome? Who knows? And wow. Wow, wow, wow. Lost all our images here. So we'll try and get back with you as soon as we can if you are still hearing us from anywhere in the world. So I'll just talk away here and hope everybody can still hear me. But Simon Langenfelder wins the overall Grand Prix in some kind of fashion. A second and a fifth. Kai de Wolf second overall, a win and an 11th. Valerio Latta on the podium for the second time in his career, third overall with a 12-2. Latta was in second when the red flag came out. Sacha Coenen fourth, Elzinga is going to be fifth. But in the race situation itself, we have Sacha Coenen, your race winner, Latta second, Elzinga third, Carlos Racialist fourth, Langenfelder fifth, and cars makers Everts, Verlan, Ferez, Seth Morrow of New Zealand picking up 10th. Kai de Wolf, despite not finishing, did do enough laps to be considered a race finisher. And heartbreak for Kai de Wolf. There's just absolutely no other way to determine the outcome of this overall Grand Prix. But apologies if you have lost your images there, but we are just trying to work on a few things here, of course, but manufacturers, KTM, are world champions. Husqvarna second, Yamaha third, and Triumph in fourth, with Honda rounding out your top 5 of manufacturers champions. But another fantastic year for KTM then. They're obviously going to win the MX2 title. They're going to win the manufacturer's title. They're going to win probably the team title as well, with the Carly picking it up once more. God knows how many times that's been. But what a season finale we had here. Never expected that. Ben Townley alongside me. We're just trying to get some of our power back here in our commentary position, but I am aware that you may still have images at home. But it's just us. So if you're watching this at home, obviously pit lane and the rest of the circuit absolutely awash. The amount of water that fell in such a small space of time. Let's take a look at the foxhole shot then. And for the 17th time, Sacha Coenen. That one is done and dusted. And but he was able just to come through and get that 17th foxhole shot. And what a year it's been in that respect as well, because Lucas Coenen already winning the foxhole shot in MXGP as well. But in terms of the championship itself, wow, it was just absolutely sensational. Doesn't even describe it. So just, there's the black plate holder there. Sacha Coenen, of course, winning the foxhole shot and the overall competition as well. And just see the images out on the racetrack here. Look at the amount of water just at the top of the hill, just the other side of the foxhole shot there. As you hit that and go into that, it's going to be aqua landings and very, very substantial amounts of rain. We could see it coming in just before the start of the race. We thought it would probably turn left and avoid us, but that's pit lane. And it's now everybody taking shelter. Nobody wants to leave. Ben Townley, can you hear me there? Just waiting to see as the system reboots for you. You're good?
Ready to go.
Yeah.
That is just phenomenal what played out before our eyes there. You know, I just sort of wrote some notes here, you know, and that the script just flip-flopped within 25 minutes in a major way, right? So, you know, you go through what happened at the start there. Langenfelder's out in front, right? He's sort of got control of the narrative. Then all of a sudden, you know, that was within the space of less than a minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Then Kai took control of the narrative, right? And at that point, what it seemed like to me that it was a tight race for that championship, but Langenfelder still had control of it, right? And so then from that point there, Kai was able to then control the championship as Langenfelder made mistakes, and then, you know, looked like it was swung, you know, hugely in the favour of Kai, to then, you know, then swing the other way with mechanical for Kai with his bike. So just crazy what we were witnessed. I was sure that we were going to see a crazy scenario today, but I think this is just blowing, you know, even what I thought was crazy out of the water. Right
out of the rainwater.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal, the amount of rain that we had.
In literal terms.
Yeah, literal terms. Well, Kai de Wolf, they're putting his bike in the middle there, but it's Simon Langenfelder who I'm told has won the Grand Prix. Simon Langenfelder, the overall Grand Prix winner. And looks like they're going to have to rearrange those motorcycles there, because that was Latta finishing second in the race and third overall in the Grand Prix. So anyway, Valerio Latta, Honda HRC, third step of the podium with a 9-2 here this weekend. Gets his first podium in MX2. He came close in Germany with a fourth overall. So this, a personal milestone for the young Italian. Second overall should be Kai de Wolf, if he can gather his thoughts. But Simon Langenfelder goes to the second step of the podium. So maybe they went back on the results, and Kai de Wolf wins the Grand Prix then. So that didn't update on our system. So more confusion here then, here in Australia. So Kai de Wolf on the top step of the podium. Simon Langenfelder second. Valerio Latta third. That one we do know. But Kai de Wolf, your winner, second overall, Kai de Wolf. Third overall, Valerio Latta. And a dejected, despondent.
Yeah. Change the points on the overall World Championship classification.
Okay, so I'm just curious to know now, because I don't have any information. We're having all kinds of technical problems here in terms of communication with certain people. But third overall, Valerio Lata, did show that at the time of the red flag, or just after, Langenfelder had got a second and got back to fifth. De Wolf was a win and 11th. And then, of course, now you've got De Wolf on the top step of the podium. So by how many points? And does that change? It was 16 anyway. So I still believe Simon Langenfelder is still world champion on that basis. But Kai De Wolf, your overall winner here. Second overall, Simon Langenfelder. Third overall, Valerio Lata. Mr. Vegas, the FIM president, I bet he can't believe what he's seen either. But Kai De Wolf, bittersweet victory here this weekend in Australia. He wins the Grand Prix but loses the World Championship. No fault of his own.
Have you ever seen in your life someone win a Grand Prix pushing their bike off? I don't know if I've ever witnessed that.
No.
So I want you to set the scene a little bit for like what we experience, right? So we're sitting here in a TV booth. We've got 4 screens in front of us, all of the microphone equipment. And at one point, we couldn't see a single screen. We had no power whatsoever. There's still no lights on in here. It's just been a crazy storm that swept through the area, right?
Carry on with that in a moment. Simon Langenfelder takes the gold plate. Second overall in this Grand Prix. He is the 2025 FIM World Champion in MX2. We will hear the national anthem of... yes, the screens have been refreshed here. At the same point, Langenfelder, De Wolf, Lata on our timing screen, but a crazy situation where your outgoing world champion does not finish the race but still wins the overall Grand Prix. I'm sure there are a lot of people scratching their heads at home like we are, but I'm sure timekeeping is working hard on that, so it just depends at what point the race was stopped, what minutes, how many laps they went back to determine that 1 lap count back. Where was De Wolf then at that stage of the race, and so on and so forth. But as it is, Kai De Wolf wins the Grand Prix, Langenfelder second, Valerio Lata third. I'm as speechless as you, Ben. We're both gesticulating with our hands here, and we're both as confused as each other. There's a TV commercial at home, confused.com. I think I'm going to sign up.
I'm confused in the respect that Kai pushed his bike off, and so to win that championship, to win the day, how do those points implicate the championship? That's what I'm interested in.
Exactly, it doesn't make sense. Because if you come in needing 10 points and you win the Grand Prix, how many points did you win by? Anyway, I think there's a little bit of, from Antonio Elia Portela, I think they may be just saying, look, hold fire. So all of a sudden...
That wouldn't surprise me, because I'm running the math in my head. If they've gone back a lap on that, Kai was in front of Langenfelder at that point in time.
Yeah, because the lap was so long.
McClellan had...
So I'm just being told they had Langenfelder 5th and De Wolf 6th at the time of the stoppage. So the other way around, sorry. De Wolf 5th and Langenfelder 6th at the time of the stoppage. So that would have only been a couple of points, not enough to pull back the 10 points. So that's where the confusion is. Finally, we've got a word on the street down there. So 5th and 6th, De Wolf and Langenfelder. That's why De Wolf was able to win the Grand Prix and lose the championship by probably just a handful of points in the end. But we've seen the podium. These are the medals. Finally, we're trying to make sense of the whole scenario here. So GP points this weekend. De Wolf was 41. Langenfelder 37. And Lata was 34. And there's your World Championship top 3 for 2025. Simon Langenfelder, Kai De Wolf and Andrea Adamo. And Langenfelder wins by 9 points the championship because of their 5th and 6th place finish in that second race at the time of the stoppage. And as Ben Townley was just saying a moment ago, yeah, what you aren't aware of at home here, the storm came flying through here, and whilst you may have still had a live feed at home, all of our images, all the power in our unit went down. Surprisingly, only my commentary survived. Even BT's went out. And at the time of when we came back, when they were showing all of the Fox whole shot stuff, that was when we got back our power. So we were probably in the dark just as much as, well, just us two here, actually, because we are in the dark. Simon Langenfelder takes his gold medal. He is a 2025 MX2 world champion.
Would you please squeeze a little bit?
Kai de Wolf, he came, he tried, but just came up short when it mattered. Andrea Adamo, his chances pretty much ended a week ago in China. Third overall for the former world champion, but we do have 3 world champions in the top 3 positions in 2025. Simon Langenfelder, the latest, and they were all in consecutive years as well. Adamo, Adamo, de Wolf, and now Langenfelder. Final photo then. Here's the highlights of MX2 Race 2. Over on the right-hand side, Simon Langenfelder and Sacha Coenen. Sacha Coenen over the line for the 17th time at the top of the hill. Just behind him was his teammate, Simon Langenfelder. And then we had Kai de Wolf Perez and then Liam Everts in there as well. Kai de Wolf just at the top of the hill, nearest to us, moving into that 3rd place with Langenfelder just ahead of him. Dry conditions. This was 30 seconds into the race. Bottom of the hill, a big let-off moment there for de Wolf as he went in pursuit of Simon Langenfelder. Then the rain started to fall. This is towards the end of the first lap. Just as we saw in race 1, shenanigans between these two. Langenfelder down on his ear. He picked himself up in around 13th, 14th place. And then he fell again as de Wolf was in 2nd. And at that point, championship looked like it was over, done and dusted. Langenfelder had more issues at the top of the hill here, probably with Jens Wolvort. And then, riding like this through some of those swamps, Kai de Wolf's motor just started to let out. He'd been doing that for 2 or 3 laps prior. He was losing ground all the time, and then finally his motorcycle expired just a couple of corners after that. And the telling tale, the picture of the race that sums up this Grand Prix and this championship is here. Simon Langenfelder in World Championship position as de Wolf pushed his bike across the track. If a picture could tell 1,000 words. About a lap or so, 2 laps later, the flag came out, and at that point, Langenfelder was in 6th place, but as the race went back a lap, de Wolf was still classed as a 5th place finisher. He would win the Grand Prix. Langenfelder would win the World Championship by 9 points. What a championship that was. And what a crazy ending. The scenes down there, the confusion up here and all around the place. A crazy storm, an absolute monsoon came flying through. Ben Townley, final thoughts from you.
Mate, I'm speechless, to be honest. I really don't know what to say. The fact that we just watched a rider push his bike away from a race and still win a GP is just, it just tells you, all you need to know about this day, really.
And the comment we made earlier, grey skies behind us, blue skies over there on the horizon. You couldn't write it, you couldn't make it up.
No, and I did say this earlier. I thought we were in for an absolute thrilling finish to this championship.
And we had it.
But it was that, it's just on steroids, wasn't it?
We had it up until the moment that de Wolf's bike just expired. Had he just stayed there, could ride around in that 2nd, 3rd or 4th place and not had to push the bike, the outcome may have been the same, who knows? But you know what? Because obviously Langenfelder was up to 9th and then 8th and stuff, so he was coming. There was a point where they were tied on points again.
Everts crashed, McLaren crashed.
Exactly, and so there were 2 points gifted back, but there was another point where if de Wolf stayed ahead, there's a point still in front, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so much to talk about, I'm sure. Here's Lisa Leyland.
I can't even believe it right now because, yeah, it's been happening so much in this last race, especially with this rain and crashes, whatever. But somehow I brought it home and somehow it worked, so super happy.
Congratulations, Simon. Thank you. Hi, de Wolf. I don't know what to say. Just how are you feeling right now after that race?
It is what it is. I gave it all. I have no regrets. Tried everything I could, and yeah, I'm proud of myself. Like I said yesterday, I was 70 points back after England, so everything what I would have done was amazing. And yeah, it's a bummer that it ends up in rain. So my dream literally fell apart and it is what it is. I've shown that I've been a champion, and yeah, I wanted to end it like a champion, but I couldn't make it happen. But it is what it is, and next year I'll bounce back and try everything again. Thank you, Craig.
We have Andrea Adamo. Wow, I mean, a solid year, but at the same time, what an end to the championship campaign for you. How do you reflect on the season? How do you reflect on today?
No, it was a positive year for sure, but in the end, the only thing that counts is when you win, because anyway, nobody will remember who did second or who did third, so the only thing that counts is to win. Yeah, it's a bummer that to finish like this. We still need to check. I think I'm not sure about the overall, but anyway, my season was, of course, positive. Could have been better, but could have been also worse. So I'm happy, and yeah, we move on.
Thank you, Andrea.
The top 3 overall in the 2025 championship then, Andrea Adamo, the former world champion, battling right the way to the end, but in the end, the Italian on the Red Bull KTM factory machine, 3rd overall. Spare a thought, a lot of them, for Kai de Wolf. The defending champion came in with a mountain to climb. 16 points down, he got it down to 13 and then 10. He took over the championship leader's position under lap 1 or 2 when Simon Langenfelder fell, and then he had technical issues that robbed him of a back-to-back title defense. But also, give credit where credit is due. Simon Langenfelder backed into the corner many, many times, came out swinging, put himself in positions where he continued to lead the championship. Maybe he got a little bit of help here with the weather and certain conditions and things like that, but Simon Langenfelder is your 2025 MX2 World Champion. Well, that's all from MX2. Hopefully we'll be back in a moment with MXGP Race 2, but look at the amount of water that's laying on this racetrack. Maybe I'll be back in a moment. Hope so. See you soon. Bye for now.